I'll call to order the meeting of the Desert Healthcare District Foundation, June 10th at 15:38. I get a motion to approve the agenda.
I will move approval.
Okay,
Second,
good. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Meeting minutes from May. Are there any questions regarding that?
I will move approval of the minutes as submitted.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any public comments? Either item. Great. So with regard to public comment, at this time, comments from the audience may be made on items not listed on the agenda that are of public interest and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the district. Committee has a policy of limiting speakers to not more than 3 minutes. The committee cannot take action on items not listed on the agenda. Public input may be offered on an agenda item when it comes up for discussion and or action. Are there any public comments at this time?
There are no public.
Move over to the CEO report.
None at this time for the foundation.
Thank you, Chris. To other matters.
So this is the backside of the
Yes.
the MOU. So on the foundation side, we would like to request the committee approve the receipt of the $750,000.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any public comment? Okay. On to our last other matter item. This is regarding the fine food bank that we presented, I believe, at the last board meeting.
Yeah, so the concept was presented to the board, and then this is the result of the direction of the board at the last meeting to work with Fine Food Bank to create a vendor agreement. And Donna, if you would mind giving kind of the background on the vendor agreement, please. And we do have some suggested changes that we would consider. We still need to get some legal approval with them, but we printed out items for suggested revisions.
Right, we specifically took from the staff report that we gave at the board where we introduced the concept of a MOU. To define food bank utilizing the 500,000 of the carryover funds in the foundation, which was unrestricted. In response to, as you heard from the last board meeting, there were quite a few nonprofits that were there that were talking about food insecurity and the crisis that's going on in the Utah Valley, as well as worldwide, nationwide. So basically looked at what was out of the staff report into the vendor agreement. We did run it by Chris and our legal counsel, who made one little couple few comments, and then I did send it to Debbie, who's here with us, of President and CEO of Fine, and she added some comments as well, which I had sent to Chris, to Jeff. I haven't heard back his comments. And then the one pager here is just one little comment that Alejandro made, but from what I understand, I think we said that maybe that wording wasn't too cool either, or you needed to tweak it a little bit better.
Yeah, so instead of, as it reads, the first bullet point, this is saying that 1.5 million pounds of fresh produce will be provided at 4 quarterly events. That's a lot of produce, so we kind of left that up to the 1 million pounds of fresh produce, and then 4 separate sports community events, quarterly events, with the food distribution and medical services provided by the Desert Healthcare District under the concept of regional food banking, along with other smaller community events that we'll do. And we have partnered already with Fine Food Bank during our COVID-19 and flu vaccination campaigns through US Agent, and also some of the money that we receive from the county, where we would do outreach at some of their food distribution sites, and also vaccinate folks and provide services at some of those events. So for us, it's just a continuation of that partnership that has been pre-existing prior to this consulting service agreement being presented to the committee and also to the board.
Not only now providing access to healthcare, but access to healthy foods as well. And access to mammograms and access to
And it's a great place for outreach as well. We found that a lot of people that go to the food distribution lines are not only need of food, but also additional services, especially medical services. So it's a great, addition to what they're already doing with the food distribution.
That's something you could put a mobile medical clinic out there on these quarterly co-hosted events.
So we're gonna do,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we will.
that's the plan.
Mhm.
And they have a mobile food pantry. That's all nice.
Does the language we have here satisfy Debbie's number one item? If we're satisfied on that.
The language on this one page is just the one page, this is the first page. Because that's all that was changed. Otherwise, the one that's here with the staple in it, that is Debbie's full. Edition and with the explanation from the email that she sent me. So I guess we need to have Jeff look at that mutual.
Yeah,
indemnification thing.
Yeah, Jeff will need to address the indemnification thing because we normally don't.
Where's that at?
Both sides.
Where's the indemnification? We should be indemnified from everything.
So they're asking as well for. Page 3.
Just trying to check it. I'm not sure.
But do,
Sure,
do
Jeff.
we,
We should be indemnified from everything though.
we are.
and Which he
Let's
added
read
in
this
as
real
well.
quick. Let me just double check.
I added. it.
Yeah, and this is what they provide after. So
I see this
we have-
here.
oh,
That's here. I just wanna,
No, that's Alejandro's piece right there.
yeah, this is Alejandro's. This reads well.
Excuse me, Chris, would you like to explain to Arthur what we're looking at? Because he doesn't have.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Director Shore,
Yes.
what we're looking at here is we had originally sent the vendor agreement to Jeff and got Jeff's legal approval with it. We then in turn sent to Debbie Espinosa, who's the CEO at Fine Food Bank, and she was out of town, so she was able to respond today with some recommended changes. So we're talking about some language changes to include in the vendor agreement. And then one of the items that Jeff is going to have to decide on is there was a request to have mutual indemnification. Where we always have our indemnification language in there, but it's being requested that it have mutual indemnification. So that's gonna have to be a legal call on that one.
Correct.
Thank you. I understand.
And we just want to make sure we're indemnified from everything and the whole responsibility should go back to Fine Food Bank to cover any legal costs,
Mhm.
anything incurred. It just needs to be, I'm sure Jeff got it, but
Yeah,
There are
I'm
very
sure we're
few
covered
things
in
that-
there with that, but we'll have to let Jeff get his guidance and thought on whether there's mutual indemnification included.
I have I guess, kind of a functional question. So in terms of, I think it's like 33 cents a pound for the food.
Do you mind if I come over here?
Please, yeah, tables, there's nothing special here. You just get more of a laser.
Jump on.
I can see you better. You're not hiding behind it.
You know, I was in San Francisco for many years, so I'm all about protocol when it comes to me.
I agree. I appreciate that actually. So the 33 cents a pound, how much of that is food? How much of that is an oversight administration?
Oh, for this, in this case, it would go 100% to food.
Thank you.
We would cover all of the operational and administrative expenses against that as part of our partnership commitment.
Just wanted to make sure that was on the public record. So, thank you.
So if that's the case, $500,000 is a lot of money, and so it's not limited to the 4 events. So if you see that you can make use of that money in ways that you distribute directly to the different service providers that you can make that there's that flexibility in here.
Yes, and that's my point number one and why I wanted to add in our partner agency network, because a lot of 75% of our food goes out through the partner agency network, 25% through our mobile pantries. And the heavily dense food insecure populations where there isn't necessarily a brick or mortar agency, church, community center that's there will run a flex out there. Many of the places where you're taking your mobile medical units, which is why it's a good partnership. But we want to make sure that as part of equitable food banking, it's important that our partner agencies receive some of the produce too as well. And so when we're going out with the quarterly mobile markets and the mobile medical centers, of course, the produce will be on there, but we know that there's going to be other agencies that are requesting fresh produce throughout the entire Coachella Valley. And so we'll make sure that they are receiving portions of that too. We do about 6.5 to 7 million pounds of produce, and so this will be, you know, about 20% of that, which will be going out. So it's a good value that they wouldn't be able to do on their own, which is why we speak on behalf of them and represent them too as well at this table.
And that distribution will be, like you said, equitably, the ones that have a higher need will get the higher value.
Yeah, absolutely. So we regularly track every distribution that all of our partner agencies do. They tell us how many households are there. They tell us how many people those households represent. And then what we do is we allocate based on the numbers that they are bringing in.
And then if you'll recall too, at the board meeting, I had mentioned when, Director Rogers had mentioned about that one church, that First Community Church that wanted to start
Right.
a meal program, but had no idea what to do. They were not covered under any environmental health laws or anything like that, where Debbie has offered to, that's what they do. Take them under the wing, develop their capacity so that they can be certified to be able to accept fruits and vegetables and hand them out.
So having this partnership with them will allow us for that opportunity.
Yes, right.
And for the mobile medical clinics as well, I think it's the deployment of them, is we're always looking for opportunities where there's always a captive audience. Instead of having people come to us, we go to them. And what perfect way than partnering with Fine Food Bank that has, you know, an extensive, you know, reach throughout the Coachella Valley with, you know, all these partner agencies. And we'll be able to, you know, to strategize exactly where we're actually gonna deploy the medical mobile clinics.
Well, I'm okay with everything. The only thing that just bothers me a little bit is what Debbie shared with us before the meeting got started. She was sharing with us that there has been a presence by ICE at some of their events that they have. So just keeping that in mind, not only for this project, but also our mobile clinic. How I think we just need to be a little bit more forward thinking and be come up with a plan. What do we do? You know, how do we address that? And I'm sure you have some ideas.
Yeah, we haven't had them at our direct mobile market distributions, but our agency network has shared with us that there have been instances of, you know, ICE across the street from when they're doing a food distribution. They haven't been to our mobile markets yet, but we do have thoughts about that.
Okay, so knowing that they are probably gonna keep on and are trying to be intimidating, so kind of keep that in mind and how both of you can come up with some strategies that hopefully will help us address that and not stop our program from happening.
And we continue to participate and sit in with, in meetings with TODEC and other groups that are spearheading a lot of these, you know, efforts and raising awareness about where ICE is, you know, increasing their activity. And normally what they recommend is have them in non-public spaces, have them in private businesses where they cannot enter. So that's one of the loopholes that, you know, they cannot enter private property. So I think those may be some of the ways that we could kind of circumvent some of these issues that are happening.
That's true.
The interesting part is, and I think what's nice about this new partnership that we're looking at with mobile medical is that during the time of COVID, we had a lot of partnerships that were going on through the vaccination clinics. And so we kind of pilot tested the partnerships between us, even with data collection, right? When we were looking at, when we were feeding our outreach services into your data collection portals. And so there's been many instances of having good, I think, partnership programs. And so it'll be exciting to launch this one. And this one also is written medically tailored boxes. So one of the things that we're looking at as part of those 4, you know, 1 per quarter is with the mobile medical clinic, looking at creating and piloting some type of medically tailored food box, not just with the produce, but with some of the other general items that Fine Food Bank distributes too as well. For weight management, high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes boxes to see how that goes and if it's something that we might be able to even look at going to a little bit more of a scale with, but trying to do it right now to see what that outcome would look like and do some data collection on it.
Do you think it would behoove us to talk to individual police departments? Because I know Chief Mills, Palm Springs, he said that, you know, that everybody's safe in in
Mhm.
Palm Springs. They're gonna issue out the red cards and everything like that. So I don't know if we were to make aware to the various police departments, like, hey, we are going to be doing this, and be probably attracting
Yeah.
individuals that might be, eyes are on them for,
Yeah.
I should think that's a much better approach than trying to skirt around it. I think it's better to be forthcoming with it and just say, hey, we are handing out food. This is a humanitarian effort. If we see something that looks inappropriate, we see something, something's recognized that's criminal activity, we're going to let you know, but we want to make sure that we're feeding. I think that messaging,
Yeah.
that you're partnering with them to identify who they're looking for, which is criminals, which they've said over and over and over again.
Mhm.
I think if you spearhead that, see what their response is. I think you're gonna be surprised. They say, thank you for letting us know. You say, hey, we're gonna have this event over here. We're gonna keep you informed, when we're starting it and when we end. If we've noticed anything, we're gonna call you at that time. But we're here to make sure people are here to eat, to get food. We really want to make sure that we can deliver the healthcare that they need, that we're bringing a health clinic. So like, it's like you're trying to coax them out to come get the things they need. I think that messaging from somebody like you, Alejandro, and if you need connections in that department for the sheriff and police department, very good friends of mine, would be happy to do that. But I think that is the way you lead in this space where everybody's afraid of what's happening. I think you have to head it head on, maybe a little differently than something that happened over the weekend. I think that type of partnership there, you know what they're looking for and they know what you're here to do. That right there, I think calms it. And again, we're fortunate that we live in Riverside County, which is a very good county who has a very good understanding of, I think, some of these things that we're doing. So, it's a really good point. My only last question for you is, what accountability and oversight do you have on the organizations that we can request resources and support from you?
What is the oversight that we have?
So
for
you
the
have these
other-
partners, so we're
Yeah,
not
that's
just
it.
going to be distributing through you.
Yeah,
We've done our due diligence on you,
sure.
but you clearly have a network outside of you.
Yeah.
So we have our process that you do a very good job of screening, you and your team. So when somebody presents a group to us for funding, for resources, we can come in with very much total confidence that they have been vetted to the fullest extent from the financial side and from the mission-based side.
Yeah.
And so so those people that we may be providing you resources with, that you're then passing it down the line, I want to make sure that those groups that we have not vetted
Mhm.
align with how you would vet them
Yeah.
and your team would vet them.
So because we're the Feeding America Regional Food Bank, we have very strict standards with
Mhm.
regards to the nonprofit organizations and religious organizations and community organizations that we partner with by our membership contract. One of the requirements is that we audit the organizations every 2 years to ensure that, one, there's food safety protocols that are happening. And if the food safety protocols are not happening, then we can put them on food hold until we can work with them and develop capacity in order to get them back up to standards. We make sure that when they go under contract, in order to be able to deliver on the items that we require, that their CEO or the highest official or level has reviewed that contract and actually signed off on it to be able to meet those requirements. Feeding America then audits us as the food bank to ensure that we're actually doing all of that. And then on top of that, for any of our USDA distributing agencies, we're the prime contractor for the state of California and for the federal government. We have subcontractors, which a lot of them are these agencies too as well. We get audited both by the state, by the federal government. Should they decide that they want to come in, we're audit ready all the time. And they actually go through all of our contracting with these organizations, and they will actually do spot checks on them unannounced in order to make sure that they are compliant. So we're probably one of the most audited bodies in the Coachella Valley besides hospitals. With regards to multi-agencies at both federal, county, and nonprofit national organization level. Yes, we get audited all the time.
I have one more question. As prompted by what you just said,
Sorry,
so.
I didn't mean to get you going. You know, I'm trying not
I'm
to.
just wondering, when you mentioned that to me, it worries me a little bit as to the fact that the federal government is getting into things that usually in the past they haven't gotten
Yeah.
into.
Yeah, we talked about
With
that.
the possibility, with the hope of actually playing gotcha
Mhm,
and interrupting services
mhm,
for organizations that they do not feel should be getting funded.
Sure.
So if that happens, do we have your assurance that you will notify us
Oh, yeah.
of any possibility that there will be an interruption of some of the services, some of the organizations that you would
Yeah.
normally fund?
Yeah, absolutely. We probably wouldn't have to notify you if something like that happened to Fine Food Bank. It would probably be out in the public faster than I could probably call you at that point in time if the federal government pulled, major contracts, funding or whatever, with USDA, SNAP right now is under, a microscope. The TFAP, there was a commitment by the US government and by the administration, a commitment to TFAP. The CSFP program, which is the other USDA program that we have as a contract, that was under examination, but last Thursday, the Congress said that they like the program, they're gonna keep the program, so we were very happy to hear about that. Now, things can happen in between now and whatever, but so far it looks like we have protections on those, but right now, the only thing that's been happening is that some of the Biden administration allocated funds, which was under the Community Credit Corporation, those were the CCC funds that you might have heard about through the news. Those were the ones that got canceled, which then ensued about 10 to 20 truckloads of food getting canceled to Find Food Bank that we were expecting through the summertime. Those were heavy protein items, chicken and eggs and pork. That we were really hoping to be able to distribute to families. But, in this case, it's like, hey, you know what, we've got other food suppliers that are coming in. If this grant goes through, we'll have a beautiful, produce program that's going on for, the year to be able to help out, make up the difference between the two. But so far we are, I serve on the National Council of Feeding America, and so I'm heavily involved in just tracking food insecurity, the programs, any kind of cuts that might be made by administration or Congress. You guys would be the first ones to know
Okay.
from that examination.
Thank you, Debbie.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to approve this.
I will second your
Okay,
motion.
all in favor? Aye.
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 Any public comment?
None.
Thank you.
Adjournment?
Any other comments? None? Seeing none, I move to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
program
all.
committee.
Thank you, Debbie.
Bye, Arthur.
It's gonna be.
Have a great.
Okay.
It's so fun.
Take care, everybody.